Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I thought what we would do today is look at different variations of Warrior 3, which is a really strong pose. So we're going to get a lot of glutes work, a lot of torso work, uh, front and back of the torso, a little bit of twisting work as well. So it'll be sweaty. You might feel your glutes tomorrow after doing this one, but that's okay, right? We don't always have to do super gentle ones. So the blocks can be really, really useful today if you have them. If you don't, you could get a couple books that are sturdy or like Tupperware containers or jars or something that will just bring the floor up to you. Even a coffee table could work really well. If you don't have them, don't worry about it. You're just going to have to work harder. That's okay too. Also, being next to a wall can be useful for the little bit of extra balance that we're going to be doing. But don't worry about that. It's only half an hour and it will be fun and playful. So let's start lying down on our backs. And you might choose to have the legs outstretched, or you might choose to have the knees bent. If so, maybe you take the feet mat width apart just so the knees can hang in toward each other. And then a little loop of the shoulder blades just onto the back a little bit more so that the chest can open. And then palms facing up can help with that too, unless you prefer to have your hands on your belly, then that's fine, right? It doesn't matter. And for a couple breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. And then continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. You may notice the rise and fall of your belly, your chest. The widening of your rib cage on the earth, maybe with every inhale. And the softening of your front body with every exhale. And depending on how deep your breath is, you may feel movement outside of your torso associated with the breath. So in the shoulders or upper arms, maybe in the hips or the legs. Maybe you can imagine your entire body expanding and contracting with every breath. Last couple moments here. And know that if anything gets too wobbly or shaky today, too fiery or intense, if you're able to draw your focus back to your breath, it might help calm the wobbles and shakes and dispel the fire and intensity. And start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body in whatever way feels best for you to wake up. Oh, you might end up taking a full body morning stretch or a yawn. And then hug your knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. And then keeping your knees bent, bring your feet back to the floor and plant them about hip width apart, parallel-ish, close enough into your bum that you can tickle your heels with your fingertips. So we're setting up for a bridge pose. You might choose to take robot arms, a little bend in the elbows and gentle lift of the chest. And then pressing into your heels, inhale, lift the pelvis up and away, and exhale, slowly lower back down. So flowing in and out of bridge for the first few breaths. You can lift as high up as you want to. And the next time you lift up, pause there. Maybe you stay here in robot arms. For extra support, you might bring your palms to the floor. And then walk the feet in slightly. Send all the weight to the right foot and pick up the left knee. Squeeze the right bum a little bit more. Keep lifting that left hip. Don't let it dip down. And then switch your legs. Plant the left leg, pick up the right knee. And then switch again. Really squeeze the bum on that planted leg. And then both feet back into parallel. Exhale. Exhale, slowly lower down. Lower. That's a new word. Hug both knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. And then make your way however feels best onto your hands and knees. Whether you roll up and down your spine for a couple breaths or just press yourself sideways and up. Eventually coming to hands and knees. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. And then inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, round through your spine. Press the floor away. Inhale to cow. Exhale, round into cat. Couple more of these on your own time, on your own breath. And if there's any other movement that would feel really good here, feel free to start to freestyle your cat and cow. Okay, and then return to hands and knees. We're going to do a little bit of single knee balancing, so if you want to bring a cushion or something underneath your left knee, then we'll start there. Step your right leg behind you, toes to the floor. Really plant that right hand into the earth, and then pick up the right leg. Look back. You should be able to see your toes on that lifted leg. Flare the toes, direct them to the floor rather than out to the right. So that outer right hip wraps to the earth. Option to stay here or option to de-weight the left arm. Thumb to the sky, palm to the right, and make sure that you can't see your arm in your peripheral vision. Gravity will want to bring it down. Keep fighting against gravity. And then notice that you're not dipping into the low back. Press the lower ribs up to the sky. So this is very similar position through the torso to Warrior 3. Imagine that instead of the left knee on the floor, we have the left foot. Keep reaching up against gravity. And slowly exhale. Release down, little wiggle or shake. Cat and cow. You can come on to the back of the hand on that right side to release the wrist. And then we'll switch sides. So again, if you're using the padding, go ahead and bring it underneath the right knee. Step the left leg behind you, toes to the floor to start, and then really plant your left hand. De-weight the left leg. Look back. Can you see your toes? Point them towards the floor, right? Make sure you're not dipping into the low back, so press the lower ribs up to the sky. Option to de-weight the right hand. Think thumb to the sky, palm to the left, and bring it up and out of your peripheral vision. Back of the neck stays long. Reach your heel further back. Reach your fingertips in the opposite direction of your heel. Press the floor away from you. Last couple breaths here. Really strong work for the core, especially the extensors. Exhale. Whew, release. Little wiggle. Shake out. And then let's meet in downward facing dog. Hands nice and wide. Tuck the toes. Lift the hips up and back. You could pedal the heels toward the floor. You can wag your tail from side to side. And then hug the upper arm bones toward each other a little bit more. Put the weight into the finger pads so that it comes out of the heels of the hands. So the forearms are really active, protecting the wrist. And then bend your knees, look forward. On your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. Standing forward fold. You could rest your elbows on knees or thighs. If you have blocks or anything to bring the floor up to you, you can rest your hands on that. You could clasp opposite elbows with hands. Make sure your knees are at least micro bent here, right? So that they're not locked out and particularly not hyperextended. Mine have been hyperextending a lot lately, so I'm going to be very careful about keeping that micro bend in the knee. The other thing that the micro bend in the knee does is it helps activate the glutes once we're come into a balancing pose. Release your hands with your fingertips to your shins or the earth or blocks. Inhale, little partway lift. Back of the neck long. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. And then bend your knees, tuck your chin in toward your chest, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing. Slow as you need to go. Till eventually you come all the way up. Little loop of your shoulders, up, back, and down. A noodle, shake out, release whatever you need to release. All right. Send all the weight over to the right foot. Little buoyancy on that supporting leg. And then think of sending your hips back, right? So torso stays up slightly, tailbone down slightly. So we're in a chair pose, modified chair pose on that right side. Pick up the left toes, a couple taps up and down to get your balance. And then extend the left leg forward. And then pick it up. And out to the left. And up. And then back. And up. Out to the left again. And up. Watch curtsy to the right. And up. And then come to center. That right leg's really going to want to send you over to the left. But pause here in the center. Tailbone down slightly. Now go all the way over to the left. Little buoyancy on that supporting leg. Make sure that you haven't come out of chair. So hips down and back. A couple taps up and down with that right foot. And then extend the right leg forward. And pick it up. And take it out to the right. And up. And then back. And up. Out to the right again. And up. Curtsy to the left. And up. Come back to center, tailbone down, belly button to spine, knees out. And then stand all the way up. Shake it out a little bit. So I know Warrior 3 has a lot of glutes work, but if we fire them up, then the stability will come a little bit easier. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Flip your palms skyward. Grab hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Inhale, lift taller. Exhale over to the left. Send your hips to the right. So getting a little bit more release through the right side of the body. You can lift up. You can round even if you want to. Just getting any remaining tightness out of the core and then back to center. Even getting into those intercostals, right? The muscles between the ribs. Switch sides, flip the left palm up, grab hold of that wrist with the right hand, and then exhale over to the right, hips to the left. You can play with the stretch here, going where you need to go, releasing the tightness in your body. And then inhale, back up, shake out the arms a little bit, shake out the legs, and then come back to the top edge of the mat. You're probably already at the top edge of your mat. It's me who has to return. Okay, send all the weight to your right leg. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. So as I mentioned, if our legs are straight, it's a lot harder for the glutes, or at least the whole muscle group, to contract and to help stabilize. But as soon as the knee is bent, then the leg, the femur, goes into very slight flexion, and then the glutes can work to help extend at the hip. Right, so it's all connected. You think, why would bending the knee make the glutes turn on? Well, they do. So send all the weight over to that right leg. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. And then pick up your left leg. Bring your arms to cactus. Okay, so imagine here that you're going to do your swan kick, or crane kick, rather, like in Karate Kid. Right? So you've got your buoyancy, you've got your stability coming. And then keeping this left knee bent, slowly reach back towards kind of a scarecrow warrior 3. Keep that left knee bent, keep the right knee bent, wrap the outer right hip back, belly bent to spine, arms in cactus. Okay, so option to stay here, or as you exhale, take a little twist to the right, and then inhale back to center, and exhale, twist to the left, and inhale center, once more to the right, and center, and left, and center, and then belly bend to spine. Draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through, back to your Karate Kid position. And then step it down, shake it out a little bit. Let's switch sides now. So send the weight over to your left leg. Right, you can see I've got lots of buoyancy on that knee, lots of buoyancy on the hip, belly bend to spine. Pick up the right knee. Right leg is active too. Toes flared on that lifted foot, arms in cactus. Inhale here, and then slowly reach the right leg back. Keep the right leg bent. Toes really active on that right leg. Wrap the outer left hip back. Option to stay here, or exhale, twist to the right, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, open to the right and back. And once more to the left and back. Oh, and open and back. Belly bend to spine. Draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through. Knee high back to Karate Kid. And step it down. Okay, so that's kind of our first little play into Warrior 3, where essentially you're just standing on one leg with one leg extended behind you and the torso reaching forward. Okay, let's come into it a similar way. Weight all the way over to the right leg. Pick up the left knee. Little buoyancy here. This time bring your hands to prayer. And then slowly start to reach the left leg back. Pause here while both knees are bent. Wrap the outer right hip back. Keep the supporting leg bent as you start to reach the lifted leg back. Flare the toes on that lifted foot so your brain can find it in space, and then reach the heel further back. Right, you can be on whatever angle here. You don't have to be parallel with the floor. I don't even know if I am, but reach the heel back. Beam your heart forward. The torso will want to collapse forward, but that's why we did that little bit of work at the start, right? lift the back up, and then slowly, left knee comes forward, shake it all out. So a bit more of a traditional variation of Warrior Three. Weight over to that left leg, buoyancy on the supporting knee. You can hear it in my breath. This is challenging work, especially to talk through it. Pick up the right knee, right? You have everything set, hands in prayer. Slowly start to reach the right leg back. Pause here, wrap the outer left hip back, and then start to reach that lifted heel back. Flare the toes on the lifted foot, right? Still keep it bent on that supporting knee. Belly button to spine. Heart, crown of the head, reaching in the opposite directions of that lifted heel. And then belly button to spine. Bring the lifted knee all the way forward and through again. And exhale, step it down. Shake it out. Whew. Let's take a little release before we do our last set. So bend the knees. Come into a really flopsy forward fold. Little sway from side to side. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Okay. This time we're going to come into it in a slightly different way. So this is where if you have blocks, gosh, they can be so useful to use. Step the left toes back. Okay, so that leg is really extended. And then belly button to spine, buoyancy on that supporting knee, that right leg. Start to lift the left leg back up behind you. So option to stay here with fingertips on the floor or on blocks or a coffee table, or, and this is a really challenging way to come into Warrior Three, belly button to spine, start to de-weight the hands, bringing the torso parallel with the floor. It's wobbly, it's shaky. The more you extend that lifted leg, the easier the balance becomes. And then slowly nose dive, reverse back down. Standing forward fold. Little wiggle, little sway. Okay, last side. Weight goes over into that left foot, bend the knee. Step the right leg back. Get your activations going, right? So wrap the outer left hip back, belly button to spine, and then start to reach the right leg back behind you. Heel reaches really far back. Look back. Can you see your toes? Maybe you stay here. Maybe you really charge that supporting leg. Find your core muscles. Hands come to prayer or any other variation with the arms. And then nose dive back down. Release the right foot. Little bounce, little sway. Inhale. Lift up part way. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. Okay, bend the knees, plant the hands, come back to hands and knees. Little cat and cow, little wiggle. Release whatever you need to release. And then shift to your hips on one side so that you can spin around. And then roll down onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. Bring your feet to the floor. Knees bent. Okay, keep your left foot on the floor. Cross your right ankle over top of the left thigh for a figure four stretch. Make sure your right ankle is really active. You might stay here. Maybe this is enough for you on your glutes, on your bum on the right side. If you would like more, you could bring a block under the left foot. Maybe you de-weight the legs and draw them toward you. You could interlace your hands behind the left thigh. If you have a strap, you could use a strap behind the thigh. Maybe you rock a little bit from side to side. Make sure you're not gripping through the chest or the neck and shoulders. Sometimes that's easier said than done. A few breaths here, settling into this release of those glute muscles that we worked so hard. Last few breaths here. Some people like extending the other leg. And then slowly, gently unwind, shake it out. And then when you're ready, we'll switch sides. So plant the right foot to the floor, cross the left ankle over top of the right thigh. Again, maybe this is enough for you on this side. If you would like more, then start to lift that right foot away from the floor or even onto a block or your coffee table or the wall. That's a really deep stretch. Keep your left ankle flexed. You can interlace your hands behind the right thigh. Maybe take a little rock from side to side, just seeing if that targets a better angle for you on the glutes. Taking the tension out of the neck and shoulders. With each exhale, can you find a little bit more release, a little bit more length through the glutes, the TFL, even imagining some length in the IT band, although that's pretty much impossible. And then slowly, gently unwind. Shake out the legs. Hug the knees into the chest, and then we'll come into a twist. So right arm out to the side, maybe shift your hips right. As you exhale, lower your knees to the left. As gentle or as deep of a twist as you need. Allow your feet to really rest to the earth. And then slowly inhale. Come back to center, reset your spine and your pelvis, and then take your knees to the opposite side. And then slowly inhale, return to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need today before your rest, maybe a happy baby or some sort of spinal flexion or extension, feel free to go where you need to go. You can always just let the video run out or pause it. Otherwise, think about where you would like to go for your rest. You could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or seated meditation. And then once you're there, for a couple breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Your breath away. 2 more. And let go of all breath control. So you return to your natural breath. And let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your face or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.